Hey guys, it's Mrs. Fabricy. So I was sitting on my porch last night, and I was sitting there looking at the stars with my daughter Nancy, and I got to thinking about space. Not outer space, but space in art. And then I started thinking about how space is taken up by shapes and forms. And then I started thinking about how artists use shapes and forms in their work. So that's what we're going to talk about today. First, we need to talk about shapes. I know that most of you probably already know the two types are geometric and organic, but we're still going to talk about them just in case you forgot something or somebody wasn't really sure. So the first type of shape we'll talk about is geometric shapes. These shapes, they can all be measured with math. These are circles, squares, rectangles, trapezoid, and polygons. These are all geometric. There are many more. Those are merely a fraction of the geometric shapes. We're going to talk about my favorite kind of shape, the organic shape. I rarely use any geometric shapes in my works. I prefer to draw inspiration from nature. Hence the name organic. Another name given to these irregular or uneven shapes is free-form shapes. So now that we have figured out geometric and organic shapes, we can start talking about forms or free-form forms. In most conversations, form and shape can be used interchangeably, but not in art. In art, free-form forms, or forms, are the 3D forms made up of shapes. Take a pyramid, for example. Each side is a triangle. They work together to create the form. When cartoonists or artists draw, they work by creating each shape first. A cartoonist is able to draw each figure over and over accurately by simply starting with the basic shapes that make up the form and then adding more detail. This is a very good tool for any artist, and you will see this process in more detail when we start to draw still lifes. Now that we have figured out what geometric and organic shapes are and how they are used to create free-form forms, we can finally talk about space, not outer space. We could talk about outer space for a lifetime and never finish, but we're going to talk about space in art. Space in art, or in 2D art, is the illusion of depth, or how artists make things appear to be in the background. When we look at Leonardo's Mona Lisa, it seems natural, and we don't think much about how or why something on a 2D surface can look like it is 3D. There are many different ways that this is done. Each technique works with the other to give the picture naturalism. Let's look at my daughter Nancy's picture that she drew today. So Nancy created a colorful masterpiece. There's an elephant, a butterfly, and a flower. They're standing on some grass. What a good job she did. But all of the objects look like they're next to each other, and there is no illusion of space in this work. So what could she have done to create the illusion of space? There are 5 things she could do. 1. Overlapping. By simply putting the butterfly behind the elephant and the flower in front, it now looks like we have some space. But it's still not quite right. So, number 2 is size. By making the butterfly smaller, it makes it appear to be further away. If she wanted the butterfly to look really close, she could make it very large and overlap it in front of the elephant and the flower. Number 3 is placement. By placing the objects she wants in the foreground, that's the front, she would place them lower, making them look closer. So I'm going to move our horizon line. This grass here is the imaginary line where the sky touches the ground. I'm going to move that up. Okay, so I have more ground. Then I'm going to move our flower to the very bottom because I want that to look like it's in the front. I want my elephant to look like it's in the back. So I'm going to move my elephant up higher on the page, towards the top of the page. And then I kind of want our butterfly to be in the middle, between the flower and the elephant. So I'm going to move that closer than our elephant, or move it a little bit lower on the page. So I'm going to place him in front of the elephant. So I'm going to overlap him, making the butterfly look larger. So I'm going to make him look bigger. And then I will move him further down on the page because objects in the back are placed closer to the top of the page. So I moved the elephant higher to make him look like he's in the background. I moved the flower into the front so it's at the very bottom of the page, and the butterfly's in the middle so he's in between the elephant and the flower, up high on the page. Okay, so number 4 and 5 we're going to do together because they go hand in hand, and that is detail and color. So objects in the front have more detail and color. We can see more detail when we're up close, right? So objects in the background are washed out and we cannot see as much detail. So I want my elephant to look further back, so I'm going to try to erase some of this crayon and make the colors a little bit less vibrant. If he had an eye, I'd probably erase the eye, take away some detail out of him. Okay, so this is my finished work, and so I used placement, size, overlapping, detail, and color. Those are the 5 ways that artists can create space in a work. It's what is space really in art? We just figured out how to create it, but why is it important? You and I, we are free-form forms living in space. We take up space. It is all around us. Yet we think little about how this space makes us feel and how we interpret it. Some people are claustrophobic. Small spaces make them feel anxious and maybe scared. When we're in a wide open area at night, we feel exposed and afraid. Or when you stand on top of a mountain looking down, you feel excited and free. These are all emotions artists strive to create in a viewer when he or she is looking at the artist's work. This is where positive and negative space come into play. You have a positive shape in a work, which is your image, and the negative space, and that's all the stuff around the image. Look at Michelangelo's haystacks and shadows. The positive space would be the haystacks and the trees. The surrounding areas are the negative space. So how does this deal with emotions and getting your viewers to interpret what you want them to feel? The more negative space you leave, the more open and exposed the object or free-form form will appear. This could give your viewers a sense of aloneness. They could be scared, or maybe your work in the empty space is soothing and calming. So let's look at our elephant picture. This kindergartner used organic shapes to create the elephant and the butterfly. She used geometric shapes to decorate the butterfly. They are irregular in shape, but she used geometric to create the flower. We moved her free-form forms around to create space. We moved the elephant closer to the top of the page to make it look furthest away. We also made the butterfly larger and overlapped it in front of the elephant to make it appear closer. We remove detail from the elephant and remove color because objects in the distance are harder to perceive. The elephant, flower, and butterfly are our positive space, and the area surrounding them is our negative space. We have equal positive and negative space, making our picture feel warm and comfortable. So as an artist, you need to think about what you want your viewers to get out of your work. How do you want to make them feel? Do you want to create the illusion of space? And how much? What will more space add or take away from your composition?